Hello, and in this video we're going to continue with the concept of a function, and we're going to be looking at functions in the real world. We're going to determine whether a relationship that we can see in the real world is a function or not. Remember, to be a function means that every single input only has one answer, one output answer. It doesn't give you two separate different answers. It's only going to have one. So let's take a look at these examples of problems in the real world, or relationships, I should say, relationships in the real world, and see if we can determine whether these are functions or not. So usually when we're dealing with these types of problems, we're looking at two sets of information. So we're going to have distance in this one, and it's going to be based upon gas consumed. Okay, so basically your input values of this problem is going to be how much gas you're consuming. This is your input. Now your input is also called the domain. So your domain values are how much gas you consume. So for example, if you consumed 5 gallons, how much distance will you have driven consuming 5 gallons? Now, the question then becomes whether or not there's only one answer for 5 gallons. So if you have a 5-gallon input in your domain, how much gas you consume is 5 gallons. Can you determine that there's only going to be one distance that you drive with you when you do that? Or could there be multiple distances? So I think that in this case this is not a function, because if you have 5 gallons, you're going to drive further if you go highway miles than if you go city miles. So I think that this one, every 5 gallons or 10 gallons of gas that you have, not going to drive the same amount. So this one I'm going to say is not a function. Okay, you have more than one output for gas consumed. Okay, let's take a look at the second example. So this one's cost. So that's your output. So this is your range, because it's based upon your input of the number of bottles that you purchase. So if you're going to, so this is going to be your domain. So thinking about this problem, so if you went to the store and you purchased 5 bottles of soda, and then you went back same day and you purchased 5 bottles of soda, would it cost the same amount of money? Usually that occurs, that the answer to that is usually yes, because they don't change prices usually in the same day. So I'm going to say that this one is a function, because the cost, we should be able to predict the cost by how many bottles that we buy, because the cost is pretty well set. I mean, I'm sure that we could change the cost and it might go on sale and those kind of things, but we should be able to predict our cost based upon how many bottles we purchase. So I'm going to say that that's a function. All right, let's look at the third example. It says interest earned in savings account based upon time left in account. So basically our domain is how many months or years that we leave the money in our account earning interest. So this is going to be your domain. It's going to be a time increment. So your domain is months or years, or months and years. It could be 6 months, it could be 1 year, 6 months. That's your domain. And interest earned is how much money will come out of your account. This is going to be your range. Interest earned, so that's your range value. It's your this is your input. I'm sorry, this is your input and this is your output of your function. will be interest. So on this one, I believe that it is also a function, because we should be able to predict, we should be able to say, if we leave it in 1 year, we should be able to tell me how much. It doesn't depend on, you won't get two different answers on the amount that you earn. The bank's not going to give you two different amounts. If you leave it in a year, they're going to give you the same amount. If you leave it in 2 years, if two different people left their same savings amount in the same account, they should earn the same amount of interest. They shouldn't earn two different amounts of interest. So this is a function. You're not going to get two different values out of your time, as long as everything else is the same, the amount. All right, now in the last example, it's going to be based upon temperature. So if it's 76 degrees, that's the temperature. Can we say that's going to affect how much water you drink? So this is your range here. That's going to be like how many quarts of water you. So how many quarts do you drink if it's 76 degrees? Or so what we're saying there is that if it's 76 degrees today, you're going to drink the same amount of water as if it's 76 degrees tomorrow. Is that true? You're going to get the same output, the same amount of water drank every time it's the same temperature. I would say this one's not a function, because a lot of other things vary. It's not going to be based upon just temperature. So I'm going to say it's not a function, because the temperature on one day, you could just be thirstier than the other and you could drink more water, and it could be the same degree. So I'm going to say not a function there. So that's a review of how you could determine whether function, you have two variables that are related, and whether those variables are related in a function. The big thing here is that every time our domain or input value is given, we should be able to get the same output value to make it a function. If not, it's not a function.